Oh, it's coming on Sunday. It's coming. Pun absolutely intended. Deep, brutal, merciless, relentless penetration for 3 hours on Sunday. That's what Sheli said. Giants and Eagles. Eagles home opener. I can't wait. James Worthington is here. I'm Adrian FedQ. Let's get into it.
Yeah, man. I mean, on paper, just looking at what we've seen on TV and then looking at how bad the offensive line has been for the Giants, to me, this looks like it could be a blowout. But, it is an interdivision game. The Giants are desperate, but it is Eagles home opener. So I'm really excited. I'll be down there Sunday.
Oh, yeah. Lucky bastard, you and your season tickets. But obviously, that's the huge matchup coming into this game. Eagles defensive line against the Giants offensive line. Obviously, we know how bad New York's line's been. 8 sacks allowed in 2 games. Eric Flowers, 3 against Ziggy Ansah last week. While the Eagles, on the other hand, they've recorded 8 sacks through 2 weeks. So, huge mismatch on paper. We'll see if it plays out on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about before the show, will the Giants try and scheme around it? Are they going to do what the Packers did to us last year, kind of dink and dunk us down the field? Is Odell Beckham Jr. going to be closer to 100%? I don't think he's going to be completely healthy, but 75% of him, who the hell is going to cover that? He's still an absolute monster. Brandon Marshall, I know he's old, but you can't sleep on him either. So it's going to come down to, like it will all season for us, how much penetration we can get, and hopefully it is deep and brutal.
Yes, deep and brutal and relentless and just yeah, absolutely. But it's like, what are the Giants going to do to combat this? Because they're going to have to do something. It's going to have to be a mixture of quick passes, max protection, a little bit of chipping. They're going to have to do a lot of that. So, hopefully, like it's like we're all putting the over-under. It's like, how many sacks are the Eagles going to get? 8, 9, 10, whatever. Well, last year in 2 games, they only had 1.
Yeah, I mean, they only had 1. I mean, the Giants still had their offensive line deficiencies. Last year, our D-line, I wouldn't say was as good, but it was still pretty yeah, but it was still pretty good. I mean, I think that they're just stronger this year, and I really think the difference is going to be, I've said it a lot of the preview videos, is our depth up front, our 8-man rotation. It's helped us stay in the Kansas City Chiefs game, and it helped us win in week 1. So I think the difference, they might stick with us 2.5, 3 quarters, but that 4th quarter, we will really start getting after Eli. And when you get pressure on him, he just falls down, man. He's a wuss.
He should have died last week. I mean, did you see that one hit where his head was just planted right to the turf? Oh, man. That is brutal, relentless, merciless penetration right there.
Yes, it is, and nothing makes me happier than seeing Sheli's face get smashed into the ground. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I want to see a Sheli face on Sunday. Absolutely. All right, so how many sacks are you thinking? Because I don't think it's going to be anything preposterous. I don't think it's going to be like 8, 9, or 10, but I do think they'll get like 4 or 5 again. I think the Giants are going to try and scheme around it, which is going to limit it to an extent.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. And like we said, I mean, their backs are against the wall. 0-3, the season's gone. So they're going to give us their greatest shot. They have their coaching game plan is going to be on point. I mean, they're probably barely even sleeping, those coaches this week, game planning for us. Because, I mean, as an offensive coach for the Giants, you look at our D-line and you're scared. I mean, first half, I think you might see 1 or 2. But I think in the second half, there's going to be some major timely sacks on 3rd down, some big momentum shifts that's going to get that stadium rocking and rolling. I mean, it's a home opener, man, so they're going to be ready to go. I got about 4 or 5. I don't think it's going to be nothing crazy.
Yeah, I see that. I think that Derek Barnett will get his first sack on Sunday. I think he's going to get 2.
I hope so, man. I predicted his first sack last week. I just had a feeling, and it didn't happen, so I hope so.
Well, he had a sack assist.
Yeah,
because the sack for Chris Long, that was forced by Derek Barnett's collapsing of the pocket.
I mean, he's done good. He's flashed like really some real skill. I mean, the one play, he was taking on Trent Williams all game week 1, and he crashed the run, basically crossed his face and got right in the backfield and stopped it. So, I mean, he can definitely play. He's got the skill. It's just if he makes the most of his opportunities. And again, I mean, he's going to be subbing in for Graham and Curry, I mean, the Giants' offensive tackles are garbage, so they're going to be chipping the tight ends. They're going to have backs staying there to protect. But I think, I mean, he's a strong, stout guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I see him getting in the backfield, just using that bull rush, man.
Yes. Yeah, because he's got these physical hands, and that's exactly what Ziggy Ansah did last week, just translating speed to power. I mean, he literally lifted Eric Flowers off the ground at one point.
He put on a tutorial, man. I mean, it was beautiful to see it, watching that game as an Eagles fan, seeing Ziggy Ansah just basically pile driving everybody back. I mean, how long are they going to keep Eric Flowers in the starting lineup? Do they have anybody else?
Wow. You know, it's crazy because, like, the Eagles, they came to their senses really quick, and they're making a switch at left guard. So you got Chance Warmack starting on Sunday. Now, I would guess that this is strictly, well, not strictly, but pretty much a move for the running game to get going. Because ideally, Stefan Wisniewski would be my left guard, not Chance Warmack.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's got more experience. He played pretty good for us last season. But, you know, Warmack is the big mauler. He's the guy that's what they wanted Sayamalu to be. His feet are just so slow, though. I mean, Warmack's back with his offensive line coach in Alabama. We all know that. He's going to be ready to go, like as in he's going to be hyped to play in front of the home crowd. And I think, you know, from what we saw from Sayamalu, you can only really go up from there. But he didn't play that good in the preseason, and I'm the biggest Warmack fan. I'm the biggest Warmack fan there is. When we signed him, I loved it. But sometimes, you know, you can have bad preseasons and regular season comes and you know, you're just something ticks in your head and you just another beast comes out. But I mean, I want to see what Warmack was at Alabama on Sunday because at Alabama, he was an absolute monster.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what he's great at, moving people back in the running game. And that's what the Eagles haven't been doing. I mean, shit, I talked about ideally, I would move Chance Warmack to left guard and Stefan Wisniewski to center.
Oh, yeah,
Jason Kelce.
100%, man. Jason Kelce's been getting blown off the ball. I mean, we have to run the football. And with a guy like LeGarrette Blount, I know we don't use a fullback, and you can say, you know, DeMarco, you know, look at what he's doing in Tennessee and Dallas. He had a fullback. But, I mean, if we have Wisniewski, Brooks, and Warmack in our middle three, they're going to move some bodies, man. And Jason Kelce's just too tiny. I mean, Snacks Harrison in there, Jason Kelce.
How are they going to do anything against Damon Harrison? How?
They're not going to run inside. The people that want to see LeGarrette Blount get more carries, you're going to be disappointed unless we have some long drives that basically we end up having some plays from within the 5. Because that's the only way that's going to happen. And to be honest with you, I'd almost rather see him take a shot for Jeffrey or Ertz because I don't think we're doing anything between the tackles this game.
They're going to try it. They're going to have to. They're going to have to. Did you see my stats from last week about running along the edges as opposed to the interior? 5.43 yards per carry along the edges, 2.33 yards per carry inside last week.
Wow.
The Chiefs.
I mean, Sproles looked pretty good. He's always able to find those holes and hit them pretty quick, and he's always had great ball carrier vision. But, I mean, that's just pitiful between the tackles. How often do we even run between the tackles?
It was 6 times between the tackles, 7 times outside. They ran the ball 6 times over their first 2 drives and only 7 their last 9.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, the whole basically city of Philadelphia has been screaming about the run-pass ratio. I mean, granted, we were behind most of the game, but not by a lot. It's not like we had to abandon the run. And I mean, Sproles had like 10 carries for 50 yards, so I know you don't want to, you know, run him into the ground so early in the year, but it wasn't like it wasn't working. I mean, it's just – and LeGarrette Blount had, 1 carry that was called back for a penalty. So we didn't even try to use him. I don't know if that's just Doug Peterson's response to how bad Sayamalu and Kelce have been in the run game or what. But, I mean, with Warmack in there this week, they'll definitely try to do it. I mean, they can't leave Kelce with Harrison by himself, though. You're going to have to see one of the guards, you know, basically double-team him and go to second level on the backer. And that just makes me nervous, man. It does. He's an absolute monster in the middle. So we'll have to see how they come out.
You know, I know that this might actually make things predictable, but do you know that the Patriots, how they literally shift offensive linemen in and out. They're like the first team to ever do this. It's actually not a bad idea for the Eagles. Because Jason Kelsey, if you want to run the ball outside, he should be in the game. And if you want to run the ball up the middle, you put Wiz in at center.
You can definitely get away with it as long as you keep the defense honest. Like if Kelsey's in there, do a couple plays up the middle. Who knows? It might even catch him off guard. But it's just it even comes back to the basic run pass. Just keep them honest. So if you're going to switch offensive line, just make it so it's not so predictable that they completely sell out. If Wisniewski's in there, they're completely crashing the middle. Also, you have a quarterback with I would say is one of the smartest quarterbacks in the NFL. Probably able to see that and audible at the line of scrimmage. So, I mean, if Belichick's doing it, and it can't be too bad of an idea.
Remember that Scott Kaczmar guy from Football Outsiders, the air yards guy?
I don't, but I know about air yards. I know I've heard that term thrown around.
Okay, so this guy last year called Carson Wentz a dink and dunk quarterback because his air yards were amongst the lowest in the NFL. Well, obviously, he didn't know that because the Eagles didn't have weapons, that's why it was low. Well, fast forward to this year, and guess who leads the league in air yards?
Our boy.
12.8 yards per attempt, and he's also attempted an NFL high 15 deep passes. That's categorized as throws 20 yards or more. So they are pushing the ball down the field a little bit more this year. And Scott Kaczmar, well, you're an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, I like that they've taken the shots down the field. I mean, we saw him connect with Corey Smith in the preseason. I don't know if it's, just misfortune or, Wentz is just missing them. But, I mean, I thought he improved. I thought the deep ball looked better in the preseason. The one comes to mind against Washington. He basically led him by about a half foot. He missed the guy. He would have hit him in stride. He needs to get better with the deep balls. He's going to connect on one of them soon. I expect that to improve as the season goes, honestly, as he gets more comfortable. Because the first couple of games, even though he's been here for a year, you're still a little uncomfortable. But I wouldn't be surprised if they hit one this weekend. I mean, maybe not for a touchdown, but I wouldn't be surprised if they hit somebody deep because they're going to go for it. And Doug Peterson's an aggressive-minded offensive coach.
Yeah, and your eyes have not deceived you. He has hit only 4 of 15 deep passes. So the deep ball accuracy has not been there so far. But one of those was a drop by Torrey Smith in the end zone. So you could say 5 of 15. So he's hitting 33.3% of his deep balls. That's what's going on. Another matchup to watch this week. Well, actually, maybe not a matchup to watch because Janoris Jenkins is hurt right now with an ankle injury. And I'll tell you what, it would have been Josh Norman, Marcus Peters, Janoris Jenkins in 3 consecutive weeks for Jeffrey, but it may not be. And Jenkins is known for being good with big physical wide receivers, and that's what Jeffrey is.
Yeah, and he shadows, if I'm not mistaken. He actually does move on both sides of the field and stay on the number 1, unlike Marcus Peters, who we all know is an all-pro talent. I mean, if Jenkins doesn't play, which is the latest report saying he probably won't, that's huge for us. Huge. It's absolutely huge because he could pretty much take Jeffrey out of the game. I mean, we still try to go to him. It's just Wentz in tight windows still makes me a little nervous just considering how he's looked so far. I still think he's looked than he did last year, but he's still young and he isn't the most accurate quarterback. It's just how it is. We're going to have to live with it. That's why, we live with it because he's such a great playmaker. But, yeah, I mean, if he doesn't play, Jeffrey should have a huge day. We should move the ball in this defense if Jenkins is out because, again, Peterson – doesn't like to run the ball, which I hate, but against this team, it's tough anyway. I think our advantage is going to be through the air against the Giants, and yeah, if I'll take anything we can get, man. So keep him on the bench.
Now, I looked at all of Jeffrey's 7 receptions last night while I was doing my preview for Philly Influencer. Only 2 of his receptions came against Peters for 22 yards, 3 against Terrence Mitchell on the left side, 2 from the slot. So obviously they were moving him all around the formation. They were trying to keep him away from Marcus Peters. So you got that one wrong, Mr. Matt Lombardo. You got that one wrong, Mr. NJ.com, because he said Jeffrey had all of his receptions against Peters, and that's incorrect.
Really? Wow. You'd expect someone like Matt Lombardo, who makes appearances on radio stations and stuff, to get that right. The guy, I wouldn't say he's not.
I'm smarter than Matt Lombardo.
Oh, we know that. Anybody who watches these videos knows that. I mean, I don't know how they get paid to do anything but clickbait, man. That's probably what it is. But I mean, I've read his stuff. He doesn't seem like terribly bad. Like he's not like as bad as Elliot Short Parks per se with the clickbait. But yeah, I mean, no, you're right. And I'm pretty sure when I was watching last week, I was like, okay, like he had a couple plays against Marcus Peters that I was like, all right, maybe we get something going here. But he didn't shadow him, so
yeah.
I mean, I don't know how he would say that.
I don't know. That's I guess he just saw his receptions, just made an assumption, but it was wrong. I mean, did you watch the game, Matt? Like, did you not see that his touchdown came from the slot?
He's paid to watch those games, man. And they're like, if you're paid to watch the games, I'm not expecting you to be like I am, 8 to 10 beers deep by halftime. But no, for real. I mean, even I knew that, and I'm not paid to watch. Like I watch as a fan, and I like to have fun, and my eyes are on the TV. I mean, Marcus Peters pretty much did eliminate his half of the field for the most part, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know why he said that, but maybe it's an honest mistake too.
Well, one guy who did beat him, Matt Collins, he should be getting more snaps on Sunday.
100%, man. I mean, you and I have been huge Matt Collins fans since we picked him. Like I always say, size, speed, but it's, again, his toughness. I mean, he's a football player, and he's almost like a Hines Ward type. Like, he's not afraid to get hit. He wants to get his, dirty. He wants to get his hands.
Comparison, actually. That's a great comparison. Go ahead.
I'd love if he could turn into half of what Hines was. I mean, and he catches the ball. Like he comes to the ball. He's aggressive in his catch. He's an aggressive physical receiver, and he's definitely someone we can develop, especially if Torrey Smith a couple of years down the line, 2-3 years from now, too old. Put Hollins out there. Aguilar's looked pretty good in the slot. Just re-signed Jeffrey. That's looking pretty promising.
Yeah. And then you got Zach Ertz. So he is currently third in the NFL in receiving yards with 190. Now, granted, some of them came on that kind of fluky play, but through 2 games, come on, baby, make it hurt so good.
Yeah, man. I mean, we saw it at the end of last season. Everybody's thinking, oh, he's just, a late season when it doesn't matter. He's going to pile up his stats type guy. But, I mean, if you think about it, he's the guy who has the most history with Carson. Carson threw to him all last season. He was a starter. He had Aguilar, but Aguilar was horrible last year. So that's Wentz's guy he probably trusts the most. And call that play a fluke, which it was, but it was also still a great play by Zach Ertz to keep his eyes on the ball, keep his eyes downfield. I wish he would have been able to outrun the guy to the end zone, but he's not known for his speed. I mean, but he's played great. You can't after the whole city got on him for that basically whiff of an attempt on a block when Carson was running down the field. He's shown a lot more physicality. I think that kind of made him mature because you watch it on camera, on film, man, in front of your teammates. Yeah. You got to protect your leader, and I think it will come up. I really do.
Yeah, that's a good point. Reverse psychology worked. It worked because I talked shit on him all season or all off season. It worked. Yeah, this was the first time. This is the first time I didn't predict him to break out, and look what he's doing.
Hey, that always happens, man. As soon as you go against it, it's going to happen. Yeah. But
it was.
Yeah, I mean,
planning on my part.
Like we talked about last week, you can't take away just what Alshon Jeffrey does for this offense because you have to pay attention to him, and that does open things down the field in the middle. So I think Alshon, even if he's the first week he had a quiet game, but look at Ertz and Aguilar, they were working in the middle of the field all game, and they had big ones. So you can't underestimate what Alshon's brought to this offense, so even if he's not filling the stat sheet.
Yeah. All right, so I got some nuggets for you. My boy E-Rock compiled a great little graphic here. So he went and looked at Peterson's first 18 games in the NFL and his rushing attempts per game and what it meant for the Eagles' record. So Eagles are 0-3 when they run the ball less than 20 times, 1-6 under 25 times, 7-4 when they run it over 25 times, 6-1 when it's over 30. Now, granted, you can make the argument, okay, you're going to run the ball more when you're winning and you're ahead. But at the same time, it's like, well, this is a team that's 8-10 in Peterson's first 18 games. So, obviously, as you could see, when they run the ball, they're very successful.
I mean, look at the Atlanta game last year. We absolutely mauled them up front. We looked like we had a great run blocking offensive line with. I don't even know if I don't think we had Lane Johnson for that game. I don't remember, but I don't think we did. Mauled them. And yeah, it was a young, inexperienced defense, but they have a lot of talent on that defense. I mean, they added to them in the offseason. But that's not just like the Indianapolis Colts you're running on. And they absolutely mauled them. Granted, I'm pretty sure Ryan Matthews had a pretty big game that week. And he, basically his career is over. But if you look at the running backs we have, he would have probably been the best fit for this offense if we still had him. But, I mean, he was always hurt. Yeah. So it's going to be tough to run. I don't really think we have a running back that is like a bell cow type for this offensive scheme. They're going to have to piece it together with Blunt, Sproles, and Smallwood. And to be honest, I want to see more of Corey Clement because Smallwood, I think he's played his way off the field. Not only has he not made a lot of, opportunity with his he hasn't taken advantage of all his opportunities running the ball. But like I said last week, his pass protection's horrible. Absolutely horrible.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I think you sign Clement, give him a chance.
Yes. I don't see, like, that's the thing that baffles me is, like, you're seeing Smallwood just run into the line, one carry after another, and you're not even trying to trot Clement out there. He's the one guy I can't pronounce his name right. I can do Halapoulivaati Vaitai, but I can't do Clement.
Yeah. Dude, Halapoulivaati Vaitai, man. It's fun to say when you get it right.
Yeah,
nobody can say that.
It's Clement, not Clement.
Clement. Yeah, I learned that too, man. I heard it as like it's Clement. I want to say Clement too, but I finally got it myself to saying Clement.
I can't get it right. But Smallwood, I think he's a one-cut runner and go up the middle. That's what he does best. He's not like a sweep guy. He did it in the preseason okay, but he's not really a sweep guy. And Matthews was that guy. But, obviously, as you said, I understand why they got rid of him and cut him. It's understandable, but,
Yeah, I mean, he's hurt. He had to get rid of him. I mean, I don't think he's going to play again. I think if Smallwood, his style of running fits the offense, I just don't think he's a good running back. That's really what I think it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a one-cut running back is pretty good for this offense, especially if, his athleticism was a little more and could do those sweeps. But it's just he's not good. I mean, he was a fifth-round pick. There's a reason we got him in the fifth round. I mean, hell, we got Pumphrey in the fourth round, and look at what he's looked like so far. I mean, just admit your mistake. You might have found somebody. I'm not going to overreact and say Corey Clement is going to be like a 1,000-yard rusher here, or he's going to be this, long-term guy, but he could be like a little more powerful version of like Carell Buckholder, like just kind of a guy that comes in, he's productive. He's not your lead back, but he's a guy that you can depend on to have productive carries. And not every, people mistake the running game. You can't expect 4 or 5 yards every time. You're going to lose 1 or 2 here and there, but it's when you stick with it. I mean, look what the Chiefs did to us last week. Kareem Hunt wasn't doing anything, and then he busted out that big run. That's what happens when you stick to the run game. So you have to have a game plan and stick to it. And Doug Peterson's got to incorporate the run game. I mean, who knows if he comes into the game with a certain amount of runs in mind and goes away from it, or whether he's just an ex-quarterback that likes to pass the ball. But, I mean, you have to run the football more, especially if you want Carson Wentz to make it through the year healthy, because I think he's been hit the most in the season so far of any quarterback.
Yeah, when you don't run the ball, play calling becomes predictable, and defenses tee up on your quarterback. It's very simple. And he's not going to get through the whole season if he keeps getting hit like this.
Yeah, I don't care if he's 6'5", 240. I mean, look, he had his broken ribs last year after the preseason. I mean, I know he wears that rib protector now, but you're going to get the man killed. And who knows how many, half concussions he's had, because these guys get, banged up in the head and they're not coming off the field. They're not reporting it, especially if you're a quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to look at this guy's future. I think they have a great opportunity to win the division this year. I really do. But at the same time, and Howie's been pretty good at this, putting the team together, and I like to see that trickle down. Try to win this year, but keep the future in mind. Because if Carson gets hurt, man, like, one, we're done this year, but his future is in jeopardy because one injury can ruin his confidence, his progression, and all that.
Yeah. Dude, you're on fire with your comparisons today, by the way. So Mac Hollins and I scored. So with the blocking and all that. And then Buckhalter. I like that one. Buckhalter for Clement.
Thank you.
Clement. Fuck. Clement. I like that one. All right. Okay, so something that they've been talking about in New York. Ben McAdoo. Ben McAstink. Ben McApoop, whatever you want to call him. He's considering giving up play calling duties to offensive coordinator Mike Sullivan. The offense hasn't reached the 20-point plateau in eight games. And god damn, dude, that vanilla offense makes Chip Kelly's looks like rainbow sherbet.
Yeah, I mean, he's a former offensive coordinator. He called the plays for the Giants for a while. To me, I mean, you know how I stand. I actually prefer the head coach to not call the plays, but perspective, they haven't been that good under him. I mean, they made the playoffs last year, but this year they look disastrous, in my opinion. It's only 2 weeks. I think it's a little bit of an overreaction on his part, considering that. But, and it also, what does it signal to the team, to the ownership, to the GM? I mean, it kind of shows like he doesn't have confidence in his ability to call plays and maintain a head coaching mentality throughout the game. But again, I mean, it comes back to like a lot of good coaches don't do that. So I'm kind of like wishy-washy on it. I don't really know what to think of it. I think it's kind of a mixed signals thing. I'm surprised he actually acknowledged it publicly is what really shocked me the most, because that is, I would just send like, we're going to evaluate how to best help our team win every week. Like give just a generic answer. And for him to actually acknowledge it, to me, says they're actually really thinking about making a move.
Here was his quote. "We can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. That's insanity. It's not working. So we're going to look to make some more changes this week like we did last week. Maybe it will be a little more drastic this week, to use your word. If that means me giving up play calling duties, that's something we will look at, that we'll talk about. For personnel, jobs are won in this league. They are not given away. So somebody's got to win a job or take a job to get a job." There you go.
Now, was that question by that reporter, did they bring up the play calling? Because it's pretty funny if they didn't, that he just threw it out there.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that somebody asked that question. I think this was from a conference call with reporters on Tuesday.
Because why else would he bring that up? Like, what? That's almost like Doug Peterson-esque, giving way too much.
He does seem like that, like kind of dense, like Peterson a little bit.
You know what's scary is there was a report out there that the Eagles were going to hire Ben McAdoo, and the Giants rushed to hire him.
Yeah, I've heard.
I mean, and that, like, I don't know if it's just like I don't usually judge people on their looks, but I mean, this guy looks like he just looks ridiculous. Like the hairdo, the whole like that press conference, man. Like he was. I was listening to the Pardon My Take podcast today, and they were ragging on him about it. They're like, definitely not a football guy. But I mean, he
looks like a jar of mayonnaise.
Yeah, he looks ridiculous. Like, I don't even know. Somebody said something earlier and it made me laugh. I can't think of it. But, I mean, he does seem kind of dense. Like, he comes off that way. I mean, the Giants' offense he replaced Coughlin, right?
Yeah.
I mean, their offense was pretty good with him. So, who knows, man? But, I mean, if he wants to give a play calling, do it next week, because I like what I'm seeing out of him.
Do it next week. And then just a quick quote from Tiki Barber as well, because he's concerned for Manning's well-being. If Eric Flowers has a job on Wednesday morning, then Eli Manning might be in a body bag 3 weeks from now. I'm serious. The Philadelphia Eagles defense is really good, and they get after the quarterback. If Eric Flowers is allowed to protect Eli Manning's backside any longer, Eli is going to get killed. Eric Flowers can't be your left tackle any longer. Eric Flowers either has to go to tackle or has to go inside to guard or sit on the bench. I kind of agree. But then again, it's like, who else are you trotting out there for the Giants? It's not like they have anything. And Bobby Hart, like, re-injured himself, re-aggravated an injury. I'm not sure if he's going to play this week, but that entire line is just a mess.
It says, wow. According to our lads, Their backup right tackle, right guard is DJ Fluker, and their backup center and left guard is Brett Jones, and then they have Chad Wheeler. So their depth up front, they have like no depth. I mean, they've got single guys backing up multiple positions. I mean, DJ Fluker, he came into as a tackle high pick, and he's bounced around teams.
He's like a Chance Warmack, like he was a bust, with one team.
Yes,
now he's trying to make it on another team as a backup.
I mean, yeah, Eric Flowers has looked, absolutely terrible, but DJ Fluker didn't look much better in the NFL. That other guy I don't even know who he is, Wheeler. I've never even heard of him.
I never heard of him. It sounds like he was an undrafted free agent.
If you haven't heard him, I know he's not that good.
Yeah, it's 17, so I'm assuming that's undrafted.
Yes. They really got nobody else, and it's kind of late. If they sign somebody in free agency, you can't have them start right away.
Yeah. Now, I think, their interior with Pugh and Richburg is pretty good, but then again, they haven't been able to run the ball either. We've been talking in Philly how we can't run the ball. Paul Perkins right now is averaging 1.9 yards per carry.
They've been putrid running the ball. That was my thing coming into the year. I'm a big fantasy football guy, and everybody's like, oh, Paul Perkins and that offense. I'm like, they can't have no offensive line. And it's showing. They didn't do anything in the offseason to address it. Paul Perkins is his talent. He's not it's like he has no talent. Put Paul Perkins on the Eagles and see what happens. I think he'd be kind of productive. It's just that's how bad the offensive line is, and that's why I have the Eagles winning this week, and I think it'll be close for a couple quarters, but I think they're going to pull away, and it's going to be that D-line, man. That as far as we go is how far they'll take us, in my opinion. Like I said in the first preview video, it's the D-line and Wentz this year is how far we're going to go. And I hope it's not despite Doug Peterson, but, so far it kind of has been.
Yeah. All right. Big matchup on Sunday. Obviously, whoever goes against Odell Beckham. Probably going to be Jalen Mills. So Beckham was limited to 4 catches for 36 yards, but you'd think that he would be a little bit healthier this week. So we'll see what happens. Rasul Douglas was great in his debut. I'm starting him. I'm putting him out there again.
Yeah, he was competitive. We knew that when he drafted him. The guy was a baller. He's competitive. He's physical. He's a playmaker. We saw that on film. I thought he might be a little in over his head, but he looked like he competed, man. He competed at a professional level. He's got way more of a natural skill set than Patrick Robinson, and they like Patrick Robinson in the slot. So, yeah, if I were them, I put Mills on the outside. That gives you 2 pretty physical corners to roll with until Darby's back. I don't know. They definitely aren't going to have – I don't think they'll have Mills shadow Odell because we don't have a corner that's capable of shadowing a receiver like him. We just got to hope that, Odell is not that close to 100%, and B, it's we're just able to pretty much, let Odell get his and shut down everything else. I think if you do that, you have a good chance to win. Brandon Marshall looks a lot slower. He doesn't look like his old self, but you still have to respect him. But I think a Jalen Mills and Rasul Douglas can hang with him. He's a more physical possession receiver. I'm not too worried about him. But yeah, dude, if Odell's 100% in this game, we're worried, man. We're really worried. So come when we see them again, if he's healthy, that's going to be a big issue, even if we do have Darby. Obviously, you're going to have some safety help wherever he's on whichever side of the field he's on. That safety, if it's Graham or Jenkins, because McLeod's out, right? McLeod's not playing.
I would think so. And yeah, that was going to be the next thing I got into is the Eagles right now are becoming paper thin at safety because Corey Graham actually hurt his hamstring as well on Sunday, but he actually got it out.
Watkins went out too, right?
Watkins went out, yeah. Everyone's getting hamstring injuries for the Eagles. It's freaking ridiculous.
It sucks to me. We made it out of the preseason pretty healthy because we didn't play anybody, and now we're seeing them get hurt when they play. So it's like a double-edged sword. But, whoever the safety is on Odell's side of the field is going to give him a little more attention. Jalen Mills and Odell, I think, were teammates in school. So it'll be kind of interesting to see because, Jalen ain't backing down from anybody. And Odell's hurt with him. Press him and get physical with him at the line of scrimmage. Maybe he plants on that ankle the wrong way and then tweaks it again. That's old school mentality, but I'm fine with Odell Beckham leaving the game in the second quarter, man.
So I'm looking at game logs last year. First game between the two teams. Odell Beckham, 4 receptions, 46 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then second to last week before the season, 11 receptions for 150. So pretty good last year against worse cornerbacks, I thought. I mean, I've been very impressed by the Eagles cornerbacks. They've been average. And that's all I want.
Yeah, they have been. I mean, if you remember last year, we beat the Steelers and the Falcons, and Julio and AB got theirs. I mean, the Giants second game, Odell got his, and we still beat him. So that's my kind of thing. Like, you know, Belichick likes to take the best player out. We don't have the talent to do that in the defensive backfield. Shut down everybody else and don't let him get a big play on you that's going to change the momentum, and I think we'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if they have that many opportunities on the field because that requires a 3-second pass protection, and they'll be lucky if they get a second and a half.
Yeah. All right. Last thing before we kind of get into predictions. Besides that 53-yard run by Kareem Hunt last week, it pretty much held him in check. 12 carries for 28 yards. That was it for Kareem. So the run defense has been great this year.
I mean, it has been. And then our front seven is, again, find me a better front seven in the NFL. Really. I mean, you might be able to give me 2 or 3 teams. The Eagles have a top 5 front seven unit. So I expected us to be this good against the run, and we have been. I mean, I was so impressed with how we were doing with Kareem Hunt until he broke that one run. And I don't know if it's just my memory, but the Eagles do have a type of tendency to give up the big play, at least in recent years. But, yeah, they pretty much bottled him up. The difference between us and Kansas City was they stuck with the run, and we didn't. I mean, Kansas City, though, I think they only ran like 2 or 3 more running plays than us.
Yeah, it's crazy, though. When you look at the stats, the Eagles are actually 27th out of 32, 4.9 yards per carry allowed. So I guess that big run really hurt that total. What did the Redskins do last week? Did they do anything?
Payron had like 27 for 67 or 20 carries for 67 yards. I know Kelly got hurt. The Redskins haven't had a good average, but Thompson had 2. He had like 3 carries for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Oh, I'm talking about when we played the Redskins.
Oh, I thought you said last week. Sorry, I don't know what they did. I don't remember anything particular.
I think you know what. Big. You know what? I think I screwed up the stat when I did my preview. I think I made a mistake. Let me see. Good thing I found it big. There's no way it's 4.9 yards per carry allowed. There's no way that's right.
I would be surprised. But granted, that besides that one run with Hunt, it was like 12 carries for 20 yards or something. So I don't know how much the Redskins ran. Let's see.
It's on ESPN.
I mean, their leading rusher was Kirk Cousins, 4 carries for 30 yards.
On ESPN, it says 4.9 yards per carry allowed. That doesn't make sense.
No, 17 carries, 64 yards is their Washington total. 3.8.
No. If you go on ESPN.com and you look at their stats, rushing defense
run out, 17 for 64. And if you take that Kareem Hunt run out, it's probably like nothing.
Yeah.
It's probably all that Kareem Hunt run.
Well, the stats look worse than it is. All right, it's prediction time. Who you got?
Joke. I think I've been going back and forth with the point total. I got the Eagles winning. I mean, I want to show some respect to the Giants. They made the playoffs last year. Their backs are against the wall. They're going to come out firing. But it's our home opener.
Yeah.
This team loves playing in front of these fans. I think Carson Wentz loves our fans, and he's going to have this team ready to go. I think it's going to be closer than my final score says because I think they're going to pull away at the end. I have the Eagles 30-16.
Nice. All right. I got a 20-13 scoreline. So I got a little bit less on the points. But I don't think the Giants are going to get to 20. And we'll get to like 20, and we'll just kind of hang on. So that's what I think. We'll be in front by like a touchdown throughout.
Yeah, I mean it could be. I think if Jenkins, that my score is considering Jenkins is out. If Jenkins is in the game, it's different. I would have it maybe like 27-16, something like that. But I mean, even though that's 11-14, that it just reads different. But I mean, yeah, I think that the Eagles are going to pull away at the end. Like I said, the difference is going to be our defensive rotation up front. We're going to get to Eli late in the game. I think we're going to get to him all game. And I think there's going to be an explosive play offensively. It's the home opener. The stadium's going to be ready to go. And Wentz he's a big-time player, man. He loves the spotlight. I think he's going to hit a deep ball finally. I don't know if it's going to be for a touchdown. I hope so. But I think they're going to make a statement game. And the country's starting to recognize this team. I mean, I think it's going to be the Eagles in Dallas. And to be honest, the Eagles have looked better so far, and people are starting to see that.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I'm trying to look at this preview again. So they're not allowing like a bunch of rushing yards.
How much was the hunt run was what, like 60 something?
It was 53.
53. So take that away. It's 35 for 123, which is like 3-4 yards a carry, which would put them in.
Oh, I got a calculator right here. It's funny. So what was that again?
So they've allowed 36 rushes for 176 yards. If you take away the hunt run, 1 for 50, whatever, what is it?
I'll do that after the show. Hold on.
It's like 3
minus 50 is 126. Take out 3, 123. 35 divided. Okay.
3. It's like 3.5.
3.5. Yep.
Yeah. So that would put them in the top 15.
That one run, 1.4 yards total. At 1.4 yards to that total.
That's what happens when it's only 2 games in the season. So, I mean, I would say definitely an outlier. I think, I mean, they're going to give up big plays. I would expect it to be more through the pass than the run. So, I mean, yeah, that's what I expected. 3.5, 4 yards of carries. I mean, even if they end up this season giving up 4 yards of carry, I'll be surprised.
Yeah. All right. So that's pretty much it. By the way, Temple plays tonight. You know that, right?
I know, man. I know. I'm worried. They haven't looked too good yet. Let's hope that they can kind of.
They snuck past Villanova.
Yeah, and UMass, man. Like, what the hell? Who knows? But I'm gonna watch. I hope it's not a blowout. I'd like to see them playing tough. We'll see. So yeah, go Temple and go Birds, baby. I'm gonna be down there rooting them on. Hopefully, you hear my voice outside every other one on TV. I'll be the loudest.
You got any final thoughts before we head out?
Not really, man. I think we about covered it. It's just, if Odell's closer to 100% than he was in the other game, like if he's like 75, 80, he's going to be a difference maker. But it's just the Eagles are too talented, and if they're going to be the team we expect them to potentially win the division, they're going to win this game and shut the Giants down. Giants go 0-3. That's pretty much it. And if you're the Eagles, man, that's what you want because the Giants they made the playoffs last year, so get them out early.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to end this on a sad note, unfortunately. Thoughts and prayers with Sean Brace and his family. His father passed away today, so he had Alzheimer's. That's something my grandmother had, so it's unfortunately bringing back like bad memories for me. But, thoughts and prayers. I mean, I'm going to text him tonight, so I just heard about this, unfortunately. But so that's why there was no Philly Influencer podcast this week. His dad was in the hospital, so that really sucks.
Yeah, I mean, send him my best, man. My great grandmother passed away from that too. That's tough because they lose everything. So yeah, send him. I don't know, but send him the best from Bitter Birds.
Yeah. All right, that's it for this show. That's James Worthington. I'm Adrian Fetke. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed. And we're out. Deuces.
Go Birds, baby.
Yes, sir.